5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down reality TV's most talked about moments with Amanda Bella. Hey everybody, it's Amanda Bella and welcome back to another episode of Bella Talks TV. I can't wait to get into the Bravo and Beyond with you this week. I'm coming to you on a Sunday afternoon here in South Florida, and I'm actually wrapping up my snowbirding for the winter. We've been down here since January 1st or so, and it's been really, really nice and a really good break from New York and just like the grind of being there. So I'm going to be really excited to get back, but I'm still so happy that I've been able to be here and enjoyed this time down here and getting this opportunity just to breathe a little. It's been really, really fun and good. And as you guys know, I'm counting down to my upcoming wedding. So we're in the 30-day mark now, and I'm so excited for that. And I have so much other good stuff coming up. I'm actually going to be flying back to New York on Wednesday and getting ready for a big Bravo weekend. I'm going to a drag brunch on Saturday that Phaedra will be hosting. And I got the meet and greet ticket. So your girl's going to be hanging out with the Ms. Parks this weekend. And I can't wait to come back and be able to tell you guys about that experience and stuff. That's the best part about living in New York and just being in one of these cities that has so much fun opportunities and events going on. Sometimes really feels spoiled, but I always try to take all of this stuff with a little bit of grain of salt. Like, I do not like to fly that close to the sun. And I know some people really like to get involved with these Bravo celebrities and hang out with them and be real friends with them and stuff. But that's never been my intention or really my MO in this. I really like to just talk about TV, and that's where I'm trying to keep my focus. I don't want to blur the lines too much because, as you guys have noticed, like, I really give my authentic opinion, even though it's unpopular sometimes. And I know a lot of the OG content creators that have been around that kind of started this, like, I always like bow down to you. Like, thank you for paving the way for people like me. But I also feel like we would be silly not to say that, like, some of these content creators, have just major favorites that they're really biased towards. And also the fact that they actually do cross the lines and cross the boundaries of the difference between just being a content creator and just being friends with these people. It's just like a line that I don't like to cross. So even though I do these meet and greets and I hang out with these people and stuff, like, I always try to keep them in my TV and keep them as somebody that I look to for entertainment, because I don't want to start clouding my judgment. Like, I feel like I am a good judge of character for the most part. And I think, like, when you start blindly having loyalty to some of these celebrities, it starts to, like, mess with your own head. I don't know if you guys are aware with what I'm not sure if you guys are aware of cognitive dissonance, but it's just like a really interesting word to try to it's a term like that, loosely fits this, but I think it's a good term to use to try to kind of explain, like, that feeling when it's like blurring too much. Like, what's real, what's not. And I really don't want to start to get into anything like that. Like, I don't want these Bravo celebrities messaging me online, sending me dirt. I don't want these people telling me, like, giving me things to post. And I don't know. I just don't like that. I want to just be Amanda Bella. I want to just say what I'm thinking. And it's funny, like, I want to show you guys too, if you're watching me on YouTube or if you're watching the video, like, I just take like a little page of notes when I do these. Like, and I talk up to 30, 45, 60 minutes and over sometimes. And I will just write like my top 5 list just so I can keep myself on track. But I try to let whatever I'm really thinking just come out. I don't want to script myself. I don't want to catch myself being like, oh, they're not going to like if I say that. Like, I want to be able to give my unfiltered opinion about what's really going on. And I hope that I can continue to do that as time goes on. I can already catch myself, not even because of them reaching out to me, but honestly, just because of like trolls, for lack of a better word. I already find myself having a hard time like posting certain opinions, or I find myself holding back because I don't want to get into fights with like other content creators and stuff. Like, I don't want to fight with anybody. I just want to come on here, be like, wow, wasn't that shit crazy that we watched last week? Like, this is what I thought, and then it's over. Like, it's not that serious, you guys. So, again, this is supposed to be a fun environment and just a place to like come vent. I hope that when you listen, there are some things I say that you're like, whoa, I really agree with that. And then actually, I think it's really healthy for people to also have those moments where they're like, oh, this girl is crazy. Like, what is she talking about? She's so wrong. Like, you have to have conflicting point of views, and you have to have people that you surround yourself with that have different viewpoints on stuff, because otherwise, like, it just starts to get kind of like culty, and you're just only agreeing with people who agree with you, and it's just, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about them. So if you're taking it personally, we're already getting like way too twisted into this world of stuff. So that's just my 2 cents before getting into today's episode. I think you guys are really going to like it, even though it's a weird week. Like, we have a lot of finales going on. So the Real Houses of Miami finale was on. The Traitors finale was on. We had Married to Medicine ending. We had, basically, we're at the end of Real Houses of Beverly Hills. We have one more reunion episode left. Married at First Sight, if you're watching there, we had that first part of the 2-part reunion, or 2-part finale on last week, and then the Love is Blind finale. So a lot of shows are coming to an end. A lot of these cycles are kind of, it's like maybe that's why we're all feeling so like, oh, beat down, because we're at the end of some of these shows that we've been talking about for months. So I hope that I can wrap some of these shows up with a little bow and send them on their way, and hopefully we can make room for some new shows and some new energy. So let's get into it this week. As always, I'm here just in my home. I always like to like shout that out, because I want people to have, manage their expectations when it comes to things. Like, I self-produce, I self-record, I self-edit. I'm in my house, like in my pajamas, on my couch. I always have my dog here. She's right next to me today, just taking a little snooze. There she is. So the people that come for the candy content, she's here. Don't worry. And I wish that sometimes I could ask her, like, what the hell do you think? Because she's really on the couch next to me. And I wonder, like, oh, I'm sure she sees me sometimes being like screaming at the TV and being like, what the hell is this lady getting so worked up over? But gotta love our Bravo shows. So yeah, let's get right into it this week. I want to start with an OMG and LOL of the week. So I think I skipped those last week because it was just a really dark week and we had a lot to talk about. But there were a couple moments that I wanted to bring up that weren't in my top 5 countdowns. So let's start with talking about my LOL of the week. We'll do the good news first and then the bad news afterwards. So this week's LOL of the week, again, wasn't like the funniest week on TV, but I did find one really, humorous moment, and that was in the Real Housewives of Miami finale. So we're at the last part of the reunion. We made it through the whole season. I really hope that you guys have been watching. I am a day one watcher back when it was on season 1, back when we had Leah Black and Chrissy Rice and Larsa, the original Larsa was back there before she turned into who she is now. I actually used to like old Larsa. She was a little bit more like chill. Now she's more a little bit yappy now, and I don't love that. But I used to like her a lot. Back when Marisol and Mama Elsa were on there, the original couple of seasons of Real Houses of Miami are so good. If you have not dived in, you have to go back and watch, because I feel like you can't fully understand the dynamics of the show if you haven't watched the original seasons. So go back and watch those. But some of the funniest moments were on this reunion. One, just really the whole last minute of the show. So I kept reading it online, the last 15 minutes of the show are going to be crazy. They're going to be so crazy. It wasn't that crazy to me. That got way too hyped up. I kept waiting for something huge to come out in the last 15 minutes, and nothing really happened, except just my LOL moment of the week, which was, I love any moment in a reunion when Andy gets that look on his face. You guys know the look where he is looking up at a housewife and smiling and just giving them that look of it's almost like a stage mom or something, seeing their child perform and like win an award when they're just like, that's my baby. Like Daddy Andy was really looking at Julia like that. The moment when they decided to say, oh, we're going to have a surprise performance from Julia's opera coach and Julia, and she pulls the mic out from behind the cushion on the couch and starts, singing. She was lip syncing, but I mean, can we blame her after that? She worked really hard, but she is no opera singer. Let's just, it's okay. We can say that, you guys, that she's not really a great singer, but it's really about the thought that counts and the effort that counts. Originally she did learn the opera to help support Martina, because Martina liked to listen to opera when she was getting her chemo treatments. And the original story is so sweet. It's like really hard to hate on it. But as soon as she started singing Ave Maria, like I was cracking up. I was really like, what is going on? Then they pan to Andy. Andy's got the look on his face. And then when it starts to break out into a techno remix, like that's when I really lost it. And all the girls were dancing. And that moment really just had me laughing because I think it was so random. And I don't think we've ever seen quite anything like that. I'm not sure if he was trying to replicate like that moment of Drew and Ralph. Or I think, that was a huge viral moment from the Real Houses of Atlanta reunion. So having these musical performances are such a big part of Bravo. They are. Our Bravo celebrities releasing songs and recording and having these moments is like a huge part of the Bravo culture. So I really appreciate them going out of their way to give us another one of those moments that will be iconic and we'll remember forever. So Ave Maria, techno remix, Julia, everybody dancing and having a good time. Like that was amazing. I'm glad that season is over. I think like the biggest takeaway for me from the Real Houses of Miami this season was that I like Alexia. Like last season, I could not stand her. Everybody kept saying like she was the, Hispanic or everybody just kept saying like she's the Cuban Teresa, like she's the Miami Teresa. And I actually used to agree with that because the way that she would fight, it just never made any sense to me. Like I just could never see her point of view. And it just felt like all of the leg that she had to stand on was just always like wobbly, and I could never get behind her opinions. But she is definition of a housewife to me right now. She took all the notes from last season. She took everybody. She like read all the comments, and she came back this season with a vengeance. Like she came back she really came back trying to win all of our hearts over. And it worked. It totally worked on me. She put a spell on me. I'm like, this girl took accountability. She was able to prove that she doesn't just stay friends with the people that she has alliances with. She's willing to try to understand people that she misunderstood previously. Julia and being one of them. Nicole, she even said her goal for next season is to even become even better friends with Nicole. Like that's growth and evolution. I really, really appreciate that from Alexia. I think that she just really probably thought a lot about the future of her on the show. And sometimes when you're hitching your wagon to like a sinking ship, I mean, that kind of reminds me of the Married to Medicine reunion. I know we didn't really talk about that very much on this podcast this year, because to me, even though I've watched every single season and episode of Married to Medicine, it just like wasn't that good of a season to me. It didn't really have that many like, hilarious viral moments. It didn't really have any like, crazy fights that were worth talking about. It was like a mid-season. And that's okay. I mean, it's their 10th season. Not every one of them can be like crazy bananas off the wall. But it reminded me of Phaedra in the reunion saying, well, why would I, attach myself to the Titanic, when she's talking about Quad and how when Quad got kicked off the show, Phaedra kind of like switched sides when Quad had brought her in originally. She was like, well, why would I want to like stay attached to that when I could see that it was sinking? It's like, yes, I think that there's a little bit of that going on with Alexia and Marisol. Marisol was an original housewife on this show. And for whatever reason, the last 2 or 3 seasons, she's only been a friend of. And it's kind of one of those mysteries. No one's really sure why her or Adriana are not full-time housewives. Is it because they're technically not wives? I don't think so, because yes, Marisol, although not legally married in the U.S., is, married. She's married in Scotland and she's married in Mexico. We learned at the reunion. So she is technically a housewife. And then the same for I guess Kiki is not, so maybe that's why she hasn't got her mojito yet. And then Adriana, I mean, she has been married, and that was a big plot line for her on the previous seasons when she was on. There's something there. It's either like they have too many women to pay full-time salaries, or I don't know. I'm not really sure what the reason is, but just seeing how Alexia was able to grow and evolve this season just really gave me hope for the future of the show. And it really showed me like she knows how to play housewives. You have to be able, even if you truly dislike somebody, to see their point of view, move on, at least be able to sit down to dinner with them, and to even if you don't mean it, you have to be like, okay, I'm sorry I hurt you. Like there has to be something done. And that's just like not what I'm getting across all of the housewives. So Alexia really went above and beyond this season to keep her stay. And Alexia just really went above and beyond to, I think, come full circle this season. So I can't believe it. I'm on her side now. So love her. Loved the season. Can't wait for the next one. It was really, really good. So that was my LOL of the week. And now moving right into my OMG of the week. We have another big one this week. So another thing that's been really hard for me to, like I said, put my opinions out there about has been this Lindsay and Carl situation. So I'm going to try to tread lightly here because I don't want to wake everybody up and, upset too many people. But I just want to give like a couple quick opinions about this. So OMG of the week was when they're in the kitchen, Lindsay, Paige, and Gabby, and you guys already know the exact moment I'm talking about. Gabby's jaw was on the floor. Like, as Candace would say, if you guys saw her on Watch What Happens Live, she's like, my jaw was in hell. Like, her jaw was down. Like, they had to go to commercial break, and when they came back from commercial break, her jaw was still like agape. Like, this moment had everybody gagged a little bit. So if you guys recall back in the season 7 reunion for Summer House, Paige comes pretty hard at Lindsay, accusing her of leaking a story about Craig's behavior at Kyle and Amanda's wedding. And this entire time, they thought that it was Carl or Lindsay that had leaked the story, which honestly did make a lot of sense at the time. But in efforts to mend the group and also to get some people back on her side, Lindsay decides to tell Paige that it was actually Danielle, in fact, that leaked the story. And I think everybody, including Gabby, as we know, was shocked. Even Paige's reaction was really funny. Like, her jaw wasn't open, but she just like looked really wide and was like blinking. And it was so funny. Like, just the moment of seeing the girls, that was like a true like girl moment too, of like gossiping in the kitchen and like spilling tea. It was a really funny, like iconic Bravo moment. They also did a flash to when Lindsay went to go pull up Lindsay and Carl's wedding website, and or when they also did a flashback to Danielle looking up Lindsay and Carl's wedding website, and when it starts to load, she also does the like like look at the screen like, holy shit, what am I looking at? Like an OMG moment. And they do those flashbacks to when Nene was at that Kim concert, and Kim's like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. And Nene is like looking up at her. Like, just, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go online and just try to find those comparison memes. So freaking funny. So a little bit of LOL, a little bit of OMG, both mixed in there. Like I said, I'm not going to get too deep into Summer House. I've already talked like ad nauseum about it, but that was my OMG moment of the week. Like, I could not believe Lindsay outed Danielle as the one to spread that story around. Now, I, of course, am very, very curious what the status of Lindsay and Danielle are like right now today, like Wednesday or Sunday, March 10th. Like, what is their status today? Because we already know Lindsay kind of has... or we already know Danielle has been on Watch What Happens Live and said that she was going to be Team Lindsay all season. But like, is she still Team Lindsay now after that news dropped? Does she support that? Does she just already know about it and forgive her? Or did she just have no idea that that was going to come out? And I would love to get like a reaction from her. I don't follow any of these people on social media. Like I said, I try to like keep the lines separate, but I'm really curious what Danielle would say now. So that's all I'm going to say about that this week. People are really polarized about this whole situation. I did not like Lindsay's appearance on Watch What Happens Live whatsoever. I actually think Andy seemed to be extremely annoyed with her as well. Everyone likes to talk about how he's like so annoyed with Dory or whatever. Like now he gets annoyed, I think, with like a majority of these people, and sometimes he just cannot hide it. And every time Lindsay said something that night, he just like had this look on his face like, okay. So I feel like she's just not like very well liked right now. And Andy's really close with Carl, so I think that he's just Team Carl. But anyways, like I said, I'm like, oh, that's all I'm going to say. And then I keep going on. But I have so many opinions about it. I just like can't get into that today for my own mental health. So that was my OMG and my LOLs of the week. We're going to take a quick break here, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to get into my top 5 countdown. Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to Bella Talks TV. So I wanted to take a quick break there. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bella Talks TV. It's Amanda Bella again, and this episode is brought to you by me. So make sure you're following me on social media, please. I've been trying to get more active into Threads lately. It is tough. I was never a Twitter user, so me having these little bites, it's just not usually where my mind goes. I prefer to go to Instagram. Instagram is just still my platform of choice. So make sure you're following me there at Bella Talks TV. And again, please make sure you're following the show, rating 5 stars, leaving me a review. And if you prefer the video version, make sure you're also subscribing to my YouTube, because I'm trying to get that going also. So there's a few episodes up on there already. And I always have to remind you guys, this is just the beginning. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And I actually just posted a funny video to my Instagram, which is like a little reel of James Kennedy. It was, as you guys know, if you've been with me for a few weeks, so you know I've been on a Vanderpump Rules rewatch. And I'm halfway through season 5 right now on my rewatch. And this season is really like a lot focused on James, his DJ. You know, this is also like the most famous line when James is like, we need to have more cosmopolitans, pumptini. Like, when he has that moment, that's in the middle of season 5. So for whatever hot topic it was of James being a DJ, Sandoval doubted him. And there's a quote of him being like, dude, you're not some guy with like a Vegas residency. And then Jax is like, oh, you just press play up there. Like, who even knows if it's plugged into anything? And I don't know if you guys follow James's DJ career, but he's fucking killing it. Like, as somebody who's largely into, I love live music. I've been going to concerts since I was 10 years old. Like, I love a music festival. Like, I just love music. And James Kennedy is like the real deal. He's playing some of the biggest clubs. He has a really amazing residency in Las Vegas at the Live, which is in the Fontainebleau, and he's just killing it. So I made a little post that was like, if somebody tries to tell you like you can't do it, basically look at James Kennedy. Like, everybody doubted him, and he's killing the game. And he liked it and also commented on that post right now while I was taking that break. So when I saw that I had like a notification from James Kennedy, I was like, oh. But again, you guys, like, I didn't message him and be like, what up, dude? Like, I don't talk to these people. I just liked that he liked and commented. I didn't message him. I didn't try to like interact with him. I don't know, like, to each their own, but I just don't feel like that's what I'm here to do. So I appreciate that he acknowledged, you know, the art that I made, but I'm not trying to like hang out with these people. I want to keep them in my TV, like I said. So anyways, let's get back into my countdown while you guys are all here. My number 5 most talked about moments of the week. And coming in at number 5 this week is going to be The Bachelor. So we're at the hometowns episode now, and, you know, Joey's down to his last 4 girls, and it's Kelsey, Rachel, and Joey's down to his last 4 girls. It's Kelsey, Rachel, Daisy, and Maria. So let's kind of like run through the last 4 girls and I'll give you some brief opinions. So I personally, okay, let's start with Kelsey. I think he's going to choose Kelsey. Kelsey to me is the front runner. He seems to have, like, over the last couple, I thought she was like, milquetoast for a while, like super boring, super basic. But in the last couple episodes, she's won me over a little bit. She's showing a little bit more of her personality. They went and they did that like polar plunge. Like there were just certain things where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of like getting a little bit more into her. But we'll see. I do hope he chooses her. Now, when it comes down to Daisy, Daisy, of course, has won the hearts of America. She has a cochlear implant. She reveals that she was, that she battled a really bad sickness that caused her to lose her hearing. And that's really sad. Like when you're not born with hearing loss and you go your whole life with having hearing and then it's taken away from you, I imagine that experience is extremely different than being born with no hearing loss. So, of course, with technology today, cochlear implants are amazing, and they now basically are able to give her like a totally normal functioning life. But I love to see the representation on the screen, but that doesn't mean that like I want her to win or that I still think she's that interesting. Like to me, she doesn't like jump off the screen. I would like to see her in Bachelor in Paradise. I think if you guys remember Abby, I think it was she was on the last few seasons, she also suffered from hearing loss, and I think she just would go by way of reading lips. So everybody kind of has like their own way that they deal with these. We have never had anybody signing and using sign language, but I really liked Noah and Abby too. They're engaged now, one of my favorite Bachelor in Paradise couples from the last, recent years. And then we have Rachel, which again, I'm sorry, but I'm getting nothing. I'm not getting a pulse. I'm not getting like too much of a personality from her. Again, that could all just be like on editing. I think she's very sweet. I think her family's amazing. She has a really strong culture, and being from Hawaii and being Polynesian. Again, don't call me if that's politically incorrect. I will put in the episode notes if I did make a mistake, if she's actually like not Polynesian, but I think that's what she identifies as culturally. So she, nice girl, but it's kind of a snooze fest. And then we have Maria. So I like a perfect mixture. I want my Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants to be just the perfect amount of outspoken personality, like a little Delulu, but also not totally dramatic and crazy and toxic. Like you have to be that balance. And Maria, to me, has just hit it on the nose. She got into the mix. She had drama with the girls. She was able to stand up for herself. And she really was there for the right reasons, I believe. I do think that she looked at Joey and like kind of thought, okay, maybe we could have something. Again, though, you guys have to remember that these girls apply to be on the show before they know who the Bachelor is. So a lot of them are like already in the casting process when they announce who the Bachelor is. And at that point, I don't think people are going to like necessarily drop out unless they're just like super unattracted to the guy that they choose. So I don't think she went on the show for Joey, but I don't think any of the girls go on the show for Joey. They just basically agree to go on once they're already been casted and then he's announced. So, the mask has to be lifted. The veil has to be lifted a little bit from these shows. Like these are produced shows, you guys. So it's not like it's not like they're really going on there because they see a future with this person before they even meet them. But anyways, that's all the magic of editing. But I really, really like Maria. She's a little bit cray, and then they do her hometown, and her dad is just on another level. You have to just go watch. I don't want to give like too many spoilers because if you guys are still planning on going back and catching up this season and stuff, but they're on the hometowns. They complete all 4 of the hometowns, and then unfortunately Maria does be the one to be sent home this week. So she did not reveal to Joey that she was falling in love with him. But then she kind of decided last minute, which again, I think producers got in her ear and were like, girl, if you don't tell him you're falling for him, like he's not going to choose you and you're not going to be in the top 3. So, I think the producers kind of nudged her a little bit to like, you have to really put yourself out there, like kind of throw a Hail Mary, otherwise you're going to go home tonight. So they're in the rose ceremony. Maria pulls him aside and she tries to tell him that she's falling for him, or she says, I don't think I'm falling for you. I am falling for you. But it was just kind of a little bit too little, too late. And Joey does send her home. So now we have our top 3, and it's again going to be Kelsey, Rachel, and Daisy. out of the three. I'm really hoping he picks Kelsey. I want to see Rachel and Daisy in Paradise. And Bachelor, at this point, like the only point of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette to me is just to be able to get contestants for Bachelor in Paradise. Like, I love that show. I think that Bachelor in Paradise is one of like the best dating shows. I think that was probably the idea of where Love Island came from, right? Like, did Love Island exist before Bachelor in Paradise, or was it the other way around? Did Bachelor in Paradise only come out after Love Island? Either way, I think that just this idea of putting these people together for this amount of time, having it, be co-ed, and having them all be stuck on this beach for 8 weeks or however, 6 to 8 weeks, however long they're there, is a brilliant and genius idea, which is why it's been around for so long. So at this point, again, I'm really just looking forward to Bachelor in Paradise, but everyone's like, no, I personally would like to see Maria for Bachelorette, because it hasn't been since Gabby that I have felt excited for a Bachelorette. Not saying that the other women aren't great, but they just didn't have that like star appeal to me that made me really want to tune in every week and like invest in them. But I do believe that Maria would be a really great choice, and I think that she would be so fun to watch, and I would be tuning in every week just to see her journey. But some people, of course, want to see her in Paradise too. So who knows where ABC is going to take this? Again, my personal vote would be Maria for Bachelorette, but I could see them also going with like Daisy. We'll see. We'll see what they choose. We're not going to know who wins for a few more weeks still. So keep tuning in. But the hometowns were my number 5 most talked about moment of the week. And getting right over into my number 4 moment of the week too. So this one's a little bit hard. This is an off-screen drama that's going on, and I'm talking about the Rolling Stone expose done on the Fab Five of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. So when Jonathan Van Ness graced our screens for the first time, like, he certainly touched my heart. When Jonathan Van Ness first graced our screens for the first time, they certainly touched my heart. Like, I've never really felt that personally connected to a member of the trans community before, and as somebody who identifies as being non-binary. So I really, really enjoy learning about his journey and learning about their journey. And I keep catching myself because I'm still not even like that well versed in talking about these types of characters on our TV or talking about these types of people. So forgive me if a he slips in there. Like, I do not mean that, and that I am so supportive of all LGBTQ, especially trans rights. So it's another thing that I've been really out there fighting for my life with on Instagram, because people think, of course, because I am a white woman with blonde hair, like I must be a Karen. So I'm constantly having to prove to everybody that no, it's okay to like not like certain people. I'm not racist. So again, I'm not racist and I'm not a bigot. I just sometimes might slip up and say he. So I'm going to try to get through this without doing that. But I was really disappointed again by this entire story that came out, because I think the first time we ever saw JVN, Jonathan Van Ness, they just really, we've never seen a person like this on TV, on Netflix before. They are like the most unique soul that I've ever seen on TV. It's just hard to describe like the energy that they bring to the show. So I really, really enjoy it. I actually feel like I tune in like between JVN and Tan. I would say those are like my 2 faves. And I think that they are two that unfortunately like beef the most. So I don't know. It's really hard. But if you guys didn't read the expose or don't know what I'm talking about, they basically came out to say that Jonathan Van Ness is reports, sources claim that they are a nightmare to work with, a monster, and basically just a diva on set, refusing to film with other cast members, giving off this energy that when they would walk into a room, people would be really upset or disappointed. In the way that they were treating the staff and the way that they demanded to be treated, just a lot of special treatment, and it made a lot of people uncomfortable. So again, luckily nothing in this expose to me was like, even though they say it's abusive behavior, thank God it's not any type of like sexual abuse or, physical abuse. Like, I'm not saying that those types of abuse are more important than just emotional abuse. But I'm hoping that what I'm trying to say is that they can come back from this. An apology, some self-work goes a long way. And to be able to prove that you're working on yourself and trying to take notes and grow and learn and evolve would go a long way here. So I'm hoping that we get some kind of an apology, some kind of statement from them, explaining what they plan on doing to make the situation better. That would be, I think, a step in the right direction. But I just wanted to come on and say that I was really disappointed to hear about this, especially somebody that is in such a space of where they're empowering other people to live a life of kindness and acceptance. So it just seems very hypocritical to be then taking like you would be kind of nothing without the support of that community, and then now like shitting on everybody basically just makes us feel like, damn, why are we even giving this person a platform? So I'm really hoping that JVN can come out, make this right, and make us all feel better about the way that we support them, because I don't want to give up on you, JVN. I want to see you grow from this and learn from this. And hopefully, we don't want to give anybody anything bad to say about the trans and non-binary community. Again, like, I do believe that just because you are part of a marginalized group, i.e. a person of color, i.e. a person of LGBTQ, it doesn't mean that there can't be like bad people in those arenas of humanity as well. Just because that you are in one of those communities doesn't mean that we have to like just put up with everything that you do and say. So it's like such a hard way to try to articulate the real way to like fix this. But I'm just hoping that I'm just really hoping that JVN can really bounce back from this, because we were all rooting for you. This really reminds me of the Tyra, like, we were all rooting for you, JVN. Like, we wanted to see you in the representation on our screens. So please don't ruin this for you, and don't ruin this for everyone else that wants to support you. We love watching you. So I hope that you can get it together here. Okay, moving right along into my number 3 most talked about moment of the week. Now, this one got me really fired up the other day, but I'm going to see if I've calmed down a little bit, or I'm going to find myself getting really heated again. But we have got to talk about our Shishu, our Sheener, our Sheesh, and her big Dancing with the Stars moment. So, again, on my Vanderpump Rules rewatch right now, Sheena is just Sheena-ing, you guys. Like, if you go back and watch, she's kind of been the same person forever. We can't really be upset with her, like, just for being her. But I do think that she's taking things a little too far here. Now, I think that a lot of people are making a really good point about the fact that these Vanderpump Rules, like, the original premise of the show was that they all wanted to be actors, they all wanted to be dancers, comedians, etc., and they wanted to be like in the entertainment business, and they were just working at SUR to get by. So the fact that them working at SUR ended up actually being like where their career took off is kind of crazy, because they all had bigger goals and dreams for themselves. So one of Shishu's number 1 goals in life apparently was to be on Dancing with the Stars. Now, I do believe that she is a big fan of the show, because I listen to her podcast amongst everybody's podcasts. As you guys know, as a podcaster myself, like, I listen to so many podcasts a week, so probably between like 20 and 30. And I'm out here just collecting information on everybody at all times. So I had already collected some information on this previously when Sheena talked about on her own podcast about how when Ariana was on and filming Dancing with the Stars, she had to get like an appeal lifted, basically, that, or we'll get into it more, but basically she had been temporarily banned from the Dancing with the Stars property for when she had went, when Lisa Vanderpump was on, I believe, don't quote me, but I think this is what happened. She went to go support Lisa Vanderpump. She had a weed pen on her, and she wasn't allowed to take it on. They confiscated it, and they told her that she cannot come back to the property. Now, later she revealed that it was only a 90-day ban, but she didn't know that. So when Ariana got cast to go on, she asked Ariana to find out, like, hey, can Sheena please come and be on my list of people to come support me, even though she's previously been banned from the property? And they did tell her yes, like, she can come back. Now, it turns out that the ban had originally only been for 90 days. Like, she would have been fine without Ariana's approval anyway, I guess. But she would have never attempted or even thought about going back to Dancing with the Stars until, until Ariana was on there, basically. So she had kind of like let go of that dream because she had been banned from the property. Now, who knows if Sheana had never been caught with the weed pen, if she would have ever gotten chosen to be on Dancing with the Stars anyway, but she seems to think that like she was always gonna be on there, and that if this one thing didn't happen, like she would have been on there, but that doesn't necessarily, like, one thing doesn't equal the other. She might have never been on there anyway, even if she never had been banned. So she, starts to go in on this Tahoe episode about how she is really disappointed that Ariana got Dancing with the Stars because she always wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars and it was her dream. Now, that to me just does not sound like a good friend. Like, two things can be true at the same time. Like, Ariana can go on Dancing with the Stars and have that also be like her dream and her, a good career move for her, and obviously a great opportunity that she got to do. Like, why should she have to turn that down just because you wanted to go on there? Like, I just don't think that would ever be fair of you to ask your friends to like not take an amazing life-changing opportunity just because like you also want the same opportunity. You should really just find it in your heart to be happy for them and just accept that like it was a blessing not meant for you. Like, not everything is about you. And other people can enjoy things that you enjoy too. It doesn't have to be like you're the only one that enjoys them and gets this opportunity. So really don't like how Sheana approached this, and I really don't like how Lala responded, trying to be like, yeah, I agree, like Ariana's heads up her own ass. Like, they're just so jealous, and jealousy is such an ugly thing. Like, why can't we all win? Why can't everybody just have like their own thing? Like, stay in your own lane, Sheana. Just because someone else is getting good things going on doesn't mean that you're not. You are your own worst enemy, and if you don't get an opportunity, like, maybe you aren't good for that opportunity. Maybe they just like don't want you on there. Why does it have to be because someone else got it? Like, it's very clear to me that Sheana thought like because this was like the biggest season of Vanderpump Rules ever, and this clearly was a big dream of her, like she just thought she was going to get the call. So for Ariana to get the call, it just shows that Sheana was being delulu, that she was going to get the call when they might not have ever even like knew her name. So it's really sad for me to see them coming down on Ariana so hard, because I don't blame her in one bit, and I would do the same thing. I would be Ariana. Like, there's not a thing that I would have changed if I were her. I would played the cards exactly the same way. I would have played all my hands the same way that Ariana did. So I just wish I could see more like, the women supporting the women here instead of everybody trying to get back on like Tom's side. It's only like episode 6, and I'm so tired of talking about this season of Vanderpump Rules already. But we had to just check in with Sheana being Sheana, because that was the number 3 most talked about moment of the week. People were getting like ate up. And specifically, I made a post about how like it was May that they did the Uber Eats remix video. And then it was in July that they went to Tahoe. So Sheana went there and complained about all of the opportunity that Ariana had, and Ariana not supporting her after Ariana already had been in the Uber Eats video with her and stuff. So it just shows like if like this didn't happen to Sheana, nothing in season 9 happened to Sheana. Everything happened to Ariana. All the opportunities that they've gotten, all this extra money that they've made, and their highest paid season ever is really because of Ariana. Everybody's like so upset that Lindsay and Carl and their situation, and Carl called the cameras to come and film the breakup, and how dare he call producers. Like, Ariana did the same thing. The first call that she made was to producers to be like, yo, this is going down. Like, we need cameras over at our house, like, in one day. If she wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't be here today. So I just think that these people need to get a grip, realize that their main priority is doing the show. That is the check. Without the show, they would have been nothing, and they need to like pay their respects to Bravo and the community and stop acting like they don't need us and they don't need the show, because it made you. It made you who you are today, and it's given you every opportunity that you've had. So why don't you try to like reel it back in a little bit, check that ego a little bit, because we don't want Sheana on the Dancing with the Stars. We wanted Ariana. So sorry, Shishu, but that's just a hard truth. We didn't want to watch you. So sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, so getting into my number 2 most talked about moment, we have to get over to the Netflix world. Again, this is a Bravo and Beyond podcast, so I love to give a mix of a little bit of everything, and we've got to talk about some Love is Blind now. So again, we've already talked so much about the Jimmy and Chelsea situation, but the way that they started this, again, there's spoilers here, so if you have not watched the finale, go watch now or skip ahead. But the season 6 finale starts with an opening shot of Jimmy and Chelsea sitting at an outdoor restaurant, and you already kind of know what's going to happen before anybody even like starts talking. You can feel the tension between them, like you can cut it with a knife through the screen. So I already know something's about to go down here. Now then Jimmy starts to begin to talk, and he basically just reveals to Chelsea that he cannot go to the altar with her. He really loves her. I do believe him. I believe that he was genuine. I think that he really loved her. I think he really chose her. And when he saw her and was like, okay, she doesn't look like she described, but this is Love is Blind. I love this girl. Like, I think he did the best he could to stay in that mindset and not let all of this outside stuff get to him. But at the end of the day, it actually wasn't the outside stuff. It was the stuff on the inside and her personality and kind of like her negativity that was the driving force to him doing the breakup and breaking off the engagement before they made it to the altar. So of course people like want to eat him up for wasting her time during the process. I disagree. I don't think he did waste her time. I think that he just really gave it enough time to see, like, are these problems temporary? Is this just drama? Are the producers pushing this kind of stuff? Like, I think he tried his best to feel out what was really going on with them. And he just couldn't really get a pulse on it. He couldn't, after time, she would come to him like inebriated and pick fights. And I think it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, he could not handle it anymore. And he just needed to get out of the relationship for his own mental health. So I think it had nothing to do with him seeing Jess. We know that him and Jess don't have anything to do with each other. Jess was spotted in Mexico with Harry Jowsey. If you guys know what I'm talking about from Too Hot to Handle, perfect match, Harry. She was spotted frolicking with him there. And it's just like, I don't think that his decision had anything to do with Jess. So I think his decision was solely based on the fact that Chelsea just was not the right person for him. He knew it in his heart, and he didn't want to have a Giannina Damien moment where he got her to the altar and said no, and then she had like a total dramatic freak out, and then everybody in America hated him. So he did the right thing, in my opinion, by calling it off before they got to the altar and just at least giving her like the privacy, LOL, it's national TV, but the privacy for her to deal with that on her own, rather than with all of her friends and family there watching her get embarrassed and humiliated. So I actually give some snaps to Jimmy. I think he handles it correctly. It seems like they're actually still really good friends, and they've been spotted together recently. So it doesn't seem like there's been any harm, like no harm, no foul. Everybody needs to give Jimmy a break. I think he did his best. Now let's talk about a couple of the other couples here. So let's just quickly talk about Johnny and Amy. So we saw them make it to the altar together, and by no surprise to anybody, they did both say yes to each other. Now, I think the most shocking thing about their story, again, was their like birth control storyline. The fact that Jimmy's like so frightened of having kids, and when he kind of learned like what a vasectomy was, he was like, okay, wait, it's a little bit different than I thought. Like, I thought it was, sometimes they can't be reversed. So even though a certain percentage of them can be reversed, he, I think, was like, no, that's not for me. So it was just a really interesting thing for them to talk about on TV. I don't think we've ever really seen like as honest of a conversation surrounding birth control and surrounding men taking birth control be on Netflix, let alone any of our reality TV shows. So found that discourse to be really interesting. But they are together, and we're going to be seeing the reunion coming up in about 5 days. So we'll be talking about that on the next episode, I'm sure. But no, by no surprise, again, they got married, and I wish them nothing but the best. A little bit boring, but always good to see some feel-good couples make it to the altar and say yes. Which brings us to Clay and AD. So this was a couple that I think everybody knew could go 50-50. Unfortunately for me, I think the nail in the coffin happened a couple of weeks ago. So again, spoiler alert, but AD and Clay make it up to the altar, but Clay then says no, AD says yes, and you can see the whole day as they're prepping, like AD's really in it. And a girl just doesn't pick a veil that says till death do us part unless she's going to say yes at the altar. So I think that she really went into it hoping that he was going to say yes. Now, AD is amazing. And because she was such a hot commodity in the pods, I think that maybe her ego got a little inflated, or like, I'm not sure what it was, but I think that she just really thought she had it in the bag, which is why she was so shocked and so hurt when Clay did end up saying no to her. But I think, again, it's a lot of internalization. You see her go back to her room and start kind of like mulling over the decision. And it's really sad because she's like, why am I not enough? I'm never going to be enough. And let this be a lesson to all women that you can be the most amazing girl, have the best personality, banging body, pretty face, have your own money, have your own career. Like, you could be all of these things. But if you don't have kind of the self-respect, unfortunately, like, for lack of a better word, I mean, that's a very broad term, so we're going to use that here. If you don't have the self-respect for yourself to just not even give somebody a chance that you have any doubt about, you have to be able to be like, if this man even thinks there's a chance that he would cheat on me, I'm out. Not like, okay, I'm going to like give him a chance to cheat on me. Like, that's already not giving yourself the right amount of respect that you deserve. So I think she went into this hoping that Clay would see the light and that she would be the one that changed him. So when you put that idea into your head and then they actually don't choose you and they don't change, you take it very personally. So I felt really sad for her in that moment. I don't think that she did anything wrong. I just think that you have to have so much confidence and you have to have so much security in yourself to know that if you choose somebody like that a little bit, like, you can't be insecure. And she showed little cracks of that by kind of like giving him a hard time for how much he was at work and wondering where he was all the time and stuff. And she didn't have that like rock solid belief in them. And I think that caused him to falter. And, you know, you just really have to make sure you're like leading with how you want to be treated. And I think that she kind of like missed the mark on that. I think that she gave him a little bit too much of a wiggle room, and she should have from the beginning kind of like stood her ground a little bit more on what she was willing and not willing to accept from him. And if he would have said no in the pods, that would have been disappointing for her to miss out on the experience, but she would have avoided the heartbreak in the end. So I think the red flags were there and she just chose to ignore them. So I'm hoping AD is doing good. I can't wait to see her at the reunion and get an update. And wow, we are already at our number one most talked about moment of the week this week. So let's again get right into it because I do have so many thoughts about this. We're talking about the Traitors finale. And the number one most talked about moment of the week is the Traitors finale and the reunion that aired right afterwards. So I really like what Peacock did here. They showed the finale of the Traitors, and then they had the reunion air right afterwards. And in the reunion, they had the cast members watch the finale and get their immediate reactions. So that was a really cool thing that they did. It was like Inception, like Peacock Inception of watching them watch the show, like us watching them watching us. Like, it was a lot, but it was so good and perfect TV to me. So I think a lot of people are really upset with the outcome, but it's 50-50. There are 50% of people that are like, it's a game and we played a game and it's just a game, nothing's personal. And there's 50% of people that are like, whoa, what happened was not right and it should have been played differently. So again, spoilers ahead, but we get to the finale episode and it comes down to Sandra, Kate, MJ, CT, and Trishelle. And Kate does some really good traitor behavior here. She ends up being able to get Sandra banished. And then the four move into the grand finale, which is where they go to the Circle of Truth. And this is where they get to decide to basically end the game because they don't think any traitors are left and split the money. Or they have to continue to play, try to banish if they think any traitors are left. And that's what everybody decides to do. They decide to keep playing. They still think a traitor is left because they know Sandra just got banished. So they're able to get Kate out. And then it's down to just MJ, CT, and Trishelle. So as you guys know, CT and Trishelle go way back to the early days of the Real World, Road Rules, challenges. And the challenge is such a long-running show. Again, that is just too much TV for me to go back and catch up on. But I'm a fan of CT from the Real World. I'm a fan of Trishelle from the Real World, but didn't really like keep up with who they were and what they were up to these days. And apparently, Trishelle is in this right-wing supporting area of the country, and that's kind of like her thing. So I think that gave a lot of people an opinion about her that had nothing to do with the show itself. Knowing like what she does in her outside life. And again, like I said earlier, I try not to cloud, like I try to just take who they are on the show and not think about who they are like too much off the show to me. But maybe that is really important information when I'm making opinions about people to be paying attention to. But basically, people kind of like already didn't like Trishelle for her political views. I also agree, like I was saying earlier, I'm a huge supporter of the trans community. So when I found out that she was somebody who doesn't support that necessarily, that was disappointing to me because I just don't understand why anybody ever cares what anybody else does with their life. Number one rule is just to like care about yourself. Like if you have to spend your life like trying to get other people to change to make you feel more comfortable, I just don't see the point in that. Again, I think it's important to have people with different conflicting views. That's what makes the world go round. So I just don't want everybody to have the same views about anything anyway. So anyways, people were already not into Trishelle. Now people like seem to love CT. I think CT also had his like own problematic behavior in the past, maybe the way he was like towards women and stuff, but that's kind of been scrubbed from history because people were really into CT. And then we had Kate, they got Kate out. And then there was MJ, who I am a huge fan of, just MJ as a person, because she on the Shaws of Sunset was one of those people that like showed everything, gave everything, good and bad, and never shied away from the camera and gave us like that true reality TV. So I just have always been into her as a person and a character. So when the three of them got to the end, I think everybody was like, yes, like MJ made it. We were all rooting for her. And then with CT and Trishelle, it was kind of no surprise. They're game players and they had the strategy. So even though MJ maybe didn't have as much strategy, she really played the game as a very faithful, and I felt like she did deserve to win. So when they start to get into this finale, it starts to get like really tense. You can feel that something's going to happen, but like nobody's really sure like how it's going to go down. So when they get into this circle of truth and they have to decide to keep the game going still, Trishelle throws a red pouch in the fire, which signals that she still thinks the traitor is left. Now, again, it's just CT, MJ, and Trishelle standing there. So MJ's like, whoa, what's going on here? Why is the fire red? Like, what are we doing here? And Alan explains, like, okay, like, you guys have to go around and vote to banish somebody again that you think is a traitor if you still think there's a traitor here. So MJ has a real Sophie's choice, as she puts it. She's like, I guess I have to put Trishelle because I have to put somebody down. And, like, I just really feel like CT is a traitor. And then Trishelle, by a shock of all, decides to vote for CT. Now, CT just started to really give her some doubt because he had kind of been flipping and flopping, and the last two episodes for him were a little bit off kilter, and she started to have some doubt. And so she decides to vote for CT. But as soon as she votes for him, you can see on CT's face, he's heartbroken. He's like, oh my gosh, she doesn't trust me. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, how am I going to get myself out of this? I've got to just convince her that I promise her I am not a traitor. And so Alan gives everybody a chance to go around and say like why they think that they should be saved. And you can just tell like that gives them enough information to have him be able to convince Trishelle. Like, he just tells her basically, come on, girl, like, you know me, we're going to make it to the end. Like, we've been working together, like, come on. And there's a lot of conspiracy theory about this. If this was planned all along and they were just really good actors, and if they had planned on getting MJ out the whole time, or if it was a true play and a true change of heart from Trishelle. We will never know. And at the reunion, they get into this, and Trishelle stands by everything. She's like, no, I really, really thought CT was a traitor in that moment. And it wasn't until that final speech that he convinced me that he wasn't. So then when they go around the circle again and they have to banish another person again, they band together, CT and Trishelle, and they vote MJ out. And that's really shitty because they could have totally ended the game with the three of them and they would have all just split the money 3 ways. But because they were either one of two things, A, really convinced that there was a traitor left and it had to be MJ, or they did preemptively plan this out and they decided to get her out because they, just wanted the money. It's really hard to know. Like I said, we'll never know the truth, but at the finale and the reunion, they really get into this a lot. Like, a lot of people are coming for them. A lot of people online are just so upset with Trishelle. Of course, nobody's really as upset with CT, which I don't think is fair. CT was just as involved in this. But unfortunately, because people already didn't like Trishelle going into this, they're going to think that, they're going to put a lot of the extra heat on her. They think that she had been coming for Peppermint earlier in the season for being somebody who identifies as, trans non-binary. So it's just not good. The whole situation's not good. It's got that extra dark element. But we did make it to the end of the show. CT and Trishelle take home the money and they become the winner of the Traitors. So it was really hard to watch, and when they get into the reunion, MJ is still so upset and hurt by what they did to her. She's taking it very personally, and John and some of the other players are just like, MJ, you've got to get over this. It is a game. We're all here to play. It's called Traitors. You've got to move on. And I have to say, I do agree with that. I think it's okay for her to be hurt and be like, damn, I really I missed out on that money. I know she has a kid, I know that she's got a family to support, but it's not, I don't think, again, just like with Traitors season 1, when Cirie took the money from Andy and Andy was upset and crying and took it so personally at the finale in the reunion. It just, of course, somebody's going to be hurt. The last person, the person to get 3rd place, 2nd place is going to be hurt. They missed out, on A, being the winner, B, the money, and just the bragging rights of winning. So she's taking it personally. But I think that she does kind of need to drop it a little bit. And you can kind of see by the end, she's a little defeated. She's like, okay, you guys, I get it. I'm butthurt, but... So 2 things, again, can be true at the same time. CT and Trishelle kind of did her dirty, but I also do think she needs to move on. She can't be keeping this up forever. Same with Phaedra. Phaedra was really coming for Dan. And while we all can collectively agree, Dan was a shitty game player and he did not do a good job at playing this, and he got, a little too personal too in things. I just think that Phaedra kind of needs to drop it. Maybe I'll tell her that when I see her this weekend. Hey, girl, give Dan a little bit of slack. Yeah, right. She'd probably slap me across the face. Again, I can't wait to go to this drag brunch and meet her this weekend. It's going to be so fun. And I can't wait to just get back to New York in general. Florida's been, again, a blessing, but I'm ready to get back home and get back to the NYC summer that we're about to have. It's going to be so fun, and I hope there's going to be so many events going on. So one other quick rumor I wanted just to talk about, this is not part of my countdown, but one other thing I wanted to talk about is that there are rumors that there's not going to be a BravoCon this year because of everything that's going on with Andy and just all the drama with lawsuits and everything against Bravo. I hope that these are just rumors. I hope that this is all BS because I live for BravoCon, and I've been counting down the days for the next one already. So I just am really hoping that this is just a bad rumor. But if anybody has any insight on that or has any, real info on that, feel free to message me online. And that was it. That was my episode for the week. So thank you guys all for being here. I hope that I was able to touch on a few things that you guys were all thinking about and maybe not hearing anybody talk about. I didn't get too much into stuff that nobody is talking about this week. I was going to talk more about the Married at First Sight finale, but I really don't feel like anybody's watching that. So if you are and you want to just talk to me about it, message me on Instagram and I will go all day. We can go back and forth giving our opinions. And another thing I was going to do is talk about Bet It All on Blonde, but maybe we'll talk about that a little bit next episode because I have thoughts about that too. I watched both episodes of The Bet It All on Blonde back to back to watching the newest episode that came out of Housewife and the Hustler. So I had a lot of Erica Jane opinions, and she's something. She is truly something. So I'm thinking about playing a couple of Bravolebs songs at the wedding. I think it would be fun to be out on the dance floor dancing to It's Expensive to Me, Me, and whatever. I think that it's okay to like some of these songs and think they're funny, but know that she's maybe not like the best person. So trying just to have fun with it and trying just to keep it light in this Bravo fear, because it does get really dark and people take things so personally. And again, I just want to give everybody a friendly reminder that unless you're a character on one of these shows, like, this stuff does not directly involve you. So calm down. I will leave you on that. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, and give me a follow. Send me a message. Say what's up. Love you all, and I will definitely be back next week for another episode. So ciao, Bellas. Have a good week.